off we go.
I am
Oh,
Torvald.
why
I'm
the hell
from
is that?
the Keyfrogs
Alright, fixing that quickly then.
team. We are in
That's
a
because
second
the
code.
size has changed. Sorry everyone, give me one
You
second.
may know us from being you may know us from being the fifth cut winners of the last code. No, but I am. We're playing. Can't touch this today. Who I believe didn't they win the last code? Oh, okay, but it's it's a very intimidating team we're playing against this week. So I have we've been studying the matchup a bit here at home. I'm playing a Worlds Collide deck with Brobnar. Oh, and an Infomancer actually, anomaly Infomancer in it. This deck is, I mean, it's very good at clearing the board. It has a Spider Saw and a Ragnarok and two regrettable meteors, Stomp, and a Phalanx Strike. So it has a lot of ways of getting rid of your opponent's board, and at the same time, it has quite a lot of creatures. It has 19 creatures, so you're also able to establish a board with it and kind of rebound per game often enough. We've been playing the matchup here at home, and it seems like I'm gonna have a bit of a hard time winning it. From what I've experienced, because the opposing deck has a lot of Starlines creatures, and if they get that board up and I'm not able to clear it, then have basically lost there. But I do have some ways out. I feel like in my shadows part can steal a little bit, especially steal quite a lot if I get the Breaker Hills out. And I also have some denial in the Garlim and stuff like that. So if I get that off at the right times, because the opposing deck doesn't have a lot of amber generation outside of the board. So if I can clear that and I can just keep their amber total down, then I should be able to win the game. But it's kind of a toss up for me. I feel like whether or not that strategy is gonna work. It all depends on when the board gets established and how much my opponent is able to use it before I can destroy it. I'm bad at smack talking. I'll try. I'm gonna whoop you worse than Brobnar was in Worlds Collide. I think that's gonna be that's gonna be the line.
I'm Vilki, otherwise known as Not Tonight, and I'm from the Can't Touch These, the Wolfpack team, and we are playing Keyfrogs this week, and the matchup. We actually haven't practiced a lot. We only played 3 games, which is less than we usually do, because the games were very miserable for my teammate to play. So my deck is is really not fun to play against, and I would say I have a good chance to win this game. But you never know. This is a card game, so the opponent may high roll, and yeah, and they can win. But otherwise, I would say this is a very favorable matchup for my deck. And my deck is actually the first deck that I have ever won in a Keyforge competition. I won it in a Sheforge League, so it has a special place in my heart. But I haven't played it a whole bunch before this code. When I opened it, I immediately saw that it has this great synergy between the pale stars. There are 2 pale stars and 3 seeker needles. And there is also 10 bonus amber, 10 bonus damage pips to go with it. So it has a lot of great synergies in killing the opposing creatures. Yeah. So actually, if they manage to beat my deck, I think they will have a great feeling. I've won my fair share of unwinnable matchups to know how good that feels. So good luck.
Hello and welcome in the deck deconstruction for the KOTE 8. Now we'll be looking at the decks from the third round. My name is Dominik Tytko-Dobrowski and I'm from Cant this Keyfrogs team. We'll be deconstructing decks from the Cant this the Wolfpack team versus the Keyfrogs. So maybe we could start with the captain's deck. Captain from the Can't Touch This team brought Warlord Fleetstalker Harriet, and captain from the Keyfrogs took Tomac Pie, the Alchemist of the Camp. Maybe you could start from the Can't Touch This side. Warlord Fleetstalker Harriet is a beautiful deck from Mass Mutation, and there are some pretty nice combos I would love to see played during the game. The first thing that I see here is double Pale Star artifact in the Disc House, which is marvelous compared with 10 damage pips distributed among the cards from this deck. So what we will be basically doing is playing the Pale Star, then triggering its effect as an Omni, and then playing this damage pips to destroy our opponent's creatures, and that's a way to win this match. For example, we could destroy every creature that captures our Ember with the city-state interest, or we could just destroy the critical creatures that our opponent would love to keep on the board, but I will go to that later. So as I said, there is one pretty nice combo with the Pale Star and the damage pips, but we still have triple Seeker Needles, and they also combo well with the Pale Star. To ensure that the board our opponent is playing won't be there for a long time, we still have the Doom Sigil, and to be totally sure that we'll kill almost everything, or that we'll get the Amber from our opponent's creatures, we have Gateway to this and Double Doom. Yeah, we see 18 creature control on the decks of Keyforge side, so that's something to be worried about if you are playing against this deck. But on the downsides, we are not controlling Ember of our opponents. Our opponent gathers well, so we have some ways to steal some Ember, but they are not so reliable. Like, for example, Bonneting. It's bonkers on the end game, during the end game, but on the early game you're basically playing this creature for just to be just a 2 power chap on the board. Of course we have Grim Reminder, but this Grim Reminder is not good, so we could use it to archive Bonneting, but that's actually all that I see here to be able to be actually archived with some benefits. Of course, we could archive our whole Star Alliance, but I'm not sure that these creatures would stay for long. on the board after being played. So overall, great board control, some Ember potential, but not so good, and almost little to none Ember control. So I wouldn't put my money on this deck before I look at my opponent's deck, because it's not a universal deck. It needs a pretty specific, I would say, mindset to be played with. So take a look at our opponent's deck and then decide. On the other side, we see a deck from the Keyfrogs team, the Captain's deck, 63 SAS. It's the same SAS as the Cant captain took to this match, because as we are all aware of, the cap was 64. It's a Worlds Collide deck containing some Brobnar, so obviously the SAS would be a low one, as we all love Worlds Collide Brobnar here. But that Brobnar is very special because we see an anomaly in Brobnar, and it's Infomancer. It's one of the trickiest anomalies, I would say, because it requires some good setup, some ways to actually ensure that this Infomancer would stay on the board for a little while to be used effectively. And also Infomancer requires you to have some good action cards. But take a look at this deck. 15 action cards. 15 action cards means that we would probably find something that is worth to be played under, to be grafted actually under Infomancer. And my first guess would be Hawk. Why Hawk, you would ask? Because our opponent is playing 8 artifacts. So in this matchup, Hawk would be crucial, because one Hawk versus the Pale Star is not enough. Versus 2 Pale Stars, I don't want to put my money on this, but with Infomancer, if there are any ways to just make sure that this Infomancer would stay on the board, I would craft a Hawk there. Of course, we have some other things, other action cards that could be crafted under Infomancer. For example, Baron Raising to be used during Brobnar turn. Smith is also, I would say, very good option here. Obviously, Ragnarok would be a one-time use here, but maybe that could work some way. But let's take a look at the other houses. For example, City-State Interest every turn. That's something I would think about too. Or for example, Phalanx Strike. That could be huge, used with Senator Shrieks on the board, so we are always exalting the creature that would give us the Ember, and maybe we could try playing cards like Trust No One under Infomancer, basically making him reap steal 1 creature. So that's my first guess here, but let's not focus on this one card, because the rest of the deck is actually pretty good. Apart from this Brobnar, which is actually pretty, okay-ish Brobnar from the Worlds Collide, Saurian has some ways to deal with opponent's Ember, like City-State Interest, I mentioned before, or Retro Galim. That's also a premium card. We see Spartasaur, and that creature is something to look for in your deck, with fight, gain to Ember effect, and an option to destroy the whole board, whole opponent's board. And looking at these shadows, Double Breaker Heals and Brand the Fanatic could mean that we will be stealing our opponent's Ember, and Brand the Fanatic used with Spartazar means that we will be stealing from this brand. For some unexpected turns from our opponents, we still have some Ronnie risk clocks. We could still, if we want to rely on Breaker Hills to steal, we could put some Dusk Runner on our creatures to ensure that when this Breaker Hill dies, the creature could still steal. So overall, this deck it's actually a well-rounded deck with some Ember control, with some creature control, with an Ember potential, and with some ways to play our actions using Infomancer every turn. Of course, it's Brobnar turn, so it's not the best turn that we could have, but that could still be worth it. So I see two lines here. One line is we are playing our Infomancer with some not so good action like Ragnarok or Overrun, and we basically we telegraph to our opponent that we want to get rid of this card, or we just play Infomancer with some really valuable card and we try to keep him on the board, but we don't have any way to ensure that Infomancer would stay on the board, especially playing against Warlord. Overall, looking at those decks, I would say that that there is still a good chance that the well-rounded deck would win with this board control. So I would say 70% of the games would be won by the deck brought by Keyfrogs Captain, and 30% of the games would be won by Can't Touch This Captain. But just watch the game and see it by yourself.
Right, everyone. Thanks to Can't Touch This again. Dominic doing it this week alone because unfortunately Rob was a bit under the weather at the weekend. I hope you have a speedy recovery. So what do you take with this starting hand, man?
Instant. Not tonight. Our Vilkie's mulligan, not the greatest, but has an immediate answer for that Silcum. That Silcum was a very strong play from Torval, having two giants in hand ready to manipulate it, but not going to get the value. I don't think that's going to change Torval's plan, though. It's going to have to be a Brobnar turn just for what's remaining in hand. Commander Chan's very good, and we're going to probably see it get set up quite well. Interesting. Oh, the Grim Reminders come far too early here.
But
Scout will be able to check the top of the deck, who decides to discard the Seeker Needle. And then just a reap, and Vilkie just trying to keep on top here. Zamus, we are watching the captain game of Can't Touch This versus the Keyfrogs.
And yes,
Can't Touch This at the top, Keyfrogs at the bottom.
And this is a recording. This is us live commentary, but not live play.
Yes, the games have been edited down for dynamic, so make it as quick and dynamic as possible. As you can see, the games are still going on. Nice use of the damage from Dominator Bauble to get rid of Calfine, set up the board. Relentless Creeper with a capture icon is going to be very good. Can keep bringing that capture back. Pale Star is going to deal with Ogopogo when necessary, but we've got a Hawk, Trust No One, Break a Hill, and a Finch Cloak. This is a very good Shadows turn coming from Torval. But both players still playing quite conservative. They're trying to get control of the board. Oh no, I don't think there's a single game in existence that moves this quickly and this smoothly.
Ah, come on, man. Some of our games were, but you're right. not a competitive game.
Nice use of Implosion is probably going to have to be... Did I just forget to do anything here? I must have forgot to edit this bit. There we go. Implosion to get rid of the Relentless Creeper and deal with... And that with the Skull. Discard the Gateway to this. And then uses Researcher to reap up. Torval has kind of taken control of the Amber, and we see a 6 Emperor in hand. Uses the 6 Emperor with the Spatosaurus down to just blow up the board. We see a Ragnarok with a couple of Boromir creatures in hand, but Ragnarok is an alpha. That basically states destroy each creature at the end of the turn. For each creature that fights this turn, gain 1. So it's, and I believe all creatures have to fight. It's very wordy for what it is. Discards Forgettable Meteor, Reaps with Reality Gleam, Reaps with Spatosaurus, check on 6. Not really any capture, but he's going to be able to use the damage pips on Booby Trap to deal some damage. And then Pelstar is going to wipe the board. I love the fact Dominator Ball becomes a 1 power artifact just because they had to do it that way. Daimyo, we see a Sakura Thief.
Can't touch this to get
Then
the first key.
No, Keyfrogs.
Yeah. Sorry, Keyfrogs to get the first key. Sorry.
I have the logos. And look at this hand from Torval now. Phil Centaurian, Diplomacy, Stomp. But Vilky with the hand of Starlines. Nice use of the shoulder id to keep Kirby alive. But Stomp can kind of just get right around that. Commander Chan as well, this shoulder id is going to be a huge issue. Because Torval does not really have an answer here. This is a huge Star Alliance turn, just slamming down. And we see a Doom Sigil in Vilky's hand as well. Which, you know, Doom Sigil, one of the lesser known. It's got to be Kirby here. You cannot allow Kirby to be going around. No creatures down, so doesn't need the Exalt side of it. Not on check, but takes Vilky off check. We're seeing Starlines just subdue to stun the Phil Centaurian. Fights there to Strix. Does have to Exalt Expo over to do that. Then we see Dino Alien take out the rest of Strix, and then a Reap up to... Yeah, all the way up to 10, I believe, here.
I mean, we see what's coming, but, I mean...
Yeah, this run here is going to be huge, and then Brendan Fnatic is going to put Vilky back up to 9, but that also means that next turn, Vilky is going to have 3 Amber left over minimum for Bren to steal back, and puts a Dusk Runner on Bren, basically saying, if you don't answer me, I am going to be able to steal your stuff.
Yeah.
Takes out Javinder. Avinder, sorry. Takes out Avinder. Takes out Javinder. Discards Snudge from the top of the deck. Plays another Commander Chan. Draws some more in. Plays Crewman Yorg. Crewman Yorg with the ability that if it isn't next to a Starlines creature, it can steal. Gets rid of Ronnie, basically making Shadows a less optimal turn. Vilky checking on... Going to check on 8 here. Basically, has the board, has the Reap power. Torval in a lot of trouble here. Goes to Saurian. Removes the stun. Discards Forgettable Meteor. Does not want to give him more power. Is it going to be a fight or Reap here? Uses Phallic Strike to take out 1 creature. Exalts the Feral Centaurian. Takes out the Bren. Takes Vilky off check. And then fights Explore Rover to put himself onto 10. And takes Vilky off check for the second key.
Wow.
Moving into Shadows. So, is able to get some capture. Master Plan. Do you Master Plan the Gateway here or the Histog?
The Gateway, always.
But if you're in control of the bot, if you've got this much power and your opponent, and you've captured enough for your opponent to forge a third, Histog might be a bit of a better option here, but both options weren't great.
The reason I always go for a Gateway is unless you know they've got something that can use your artifact, which we don't believe they do in the Keyfrogs turn, then it's always having their safety net.
No! It was a Reap from Torval, and he's drawn the 6 Emperor. Now we can see here, goes into the disc turn, we're not going to see the Gateway here, it's probably going to get discarded because that puts Torval onto check. So what we're going to see is we're going to see a fight from Torval to put more Amber onto the Feral Centaurian. And then we're going to see 6 Emperor on that Feral Centaurian. Vilky will get the second key, but it's going to come at a cost here. fights. He fights into the elusive creature. 6 Emperors away, goes up to 9, and we can see that there is nothing in hand here to stop this forge. The one card draw of 6 Emperor. Keyfrog saying in chat that was the best draw of their life, and it could have been a completely different game without it.
Oh, always. That's the RNG factor.
If they'd have just got to 6, then Vilky has got Gamgee to deal with that. But, oh, that is a hell of a game. And Vilky just showing that they have got the power, and if they had any kind of key cheat, they'd have won here. But Tarvel is going to take the first key. The first game. But still playing out the entire turn. Fair play to Not Tonight here. Also, please do let me know how you're liking these new transitions, because I have got the ability to edit them.
I'm liking them.
I don't get why these numbers are